Okay, welcome back to another episode of Married at First Sight, Season 20, Episode 14. We're going to review and recap what happened, baby, and I'm going to give my little honest opinion about everything on the show, baby. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So, right now, the matchmakers have called up a group session with all the couples. All the couples have pulled up, and now it's time to decide, baby, are we building a solid marriage here? Or are we going to call it quits? It's all or nothing at this episode. They need to know today because don't wait until decision day. Okay, go ahead and let us know now. And so they first go ahead and call and says, okay, we need to decide what we're going to do here. Okay, no more playing games. So they called up Nick and Courtney up to the stage, and so Miss Lisa wanted to know pretty much. She was like, "So what are we doing here?" This is what left off on 13, season 13. I mean, episode 13. So like, what are we doing here? Okay, and then Paul will know. I'm curious too. Okay, would you like to end your marriage tonight? And so Courtney, she was like, I don't know. And then so Miss Lisa jumps back in. She was like, I'm curious what everyone else is thinking. It's like, Miss Lisa, why is you gonna pull everybody else up into what's going on with these folks? Okay, because they talking about they don't know. So Miss Lisa was like, baby, what do y'all think? Okay, so of course Miss Perfect, baby, Miss Perfect gonna chime on in. Miss Michelle, she gonna always give her 2 cents worth regardless. She was like, well, in the past I've been in a relationship that I wanted to work but regret wasting 3 years. So she pretty much saying, don't waste your precious time because this could be blocking you from finding your potential husband, your real husband. If this is not what you want right now, don't waste 3 years, 4 years, 5 years on somebody that's not worth your time. And if you know it, you kind of know it now. She was like, and she said that she knew it in her past, but she wasted so many years. And then Courtney came in. She said I've been in my head and I haven't been flirty and warm for Nick to be himself. So she finally admitted, yeah, girl, I've been cussing this man out. I've been being mean to this man. I've been wanting to throw him in his headlock with these triceps and biceps I've been working on all my life. She's like, so I haven't been all that warm and flirty and fun with him. So I get where he's coming from with this. And then Nick said, I haven't felt a romantic theme. Uh, right, Nick, we know, we get it. Okay. Nick, is she even your type? Okay, or is she just a paid actor in your sitcom? I just want to know. But so they both recognize that there's no romance here, and that's what Paul wanted to know: is there romance here? Is there something to build a solid relationship slash marriage? And so then here comes Miss Tori, honey. Miss Tori came in, well, she was a woman of few words when it comes to talking about other people's relationships. So this is the first time she chimed in. She asked, do you feel there is something to gain by staying until decision day? Which I feel like that was a question that she wanted Nick to answer, because Nick has been on so many reality shows, and most of those reality shows have been all about dating and the dating type relationship, and he's very proud of his D-list celebrity that he has gained. So Tori asked that question really to him, and he felt it. So he answered it. He said, I don't know. It's a lot to think about. No, it's not, Nick. Okay, you just want to get the credit for this show, and then you got it, Nick. You've been here long enough. You got it. Ain't nothing else to try to gain here. And then so the matchmaker, Miss Lisa, comes in. She was like, you are asking yourself the wrong questions, Nick. Okay, Miss Lisa tired of Nick. Okay, she is tired of Nick. She said, do you have viability to create a true marriage, Nick? That's all she wants to know. And then so we goes back over to Nick, maybe the camera all in Nick's face, and Nick was like just sitting there. Because that's a deep question. And Nick don't do deep. So Nick went silent. Okay. And then Courtney came in. You know what? You know what? There's no reason we should stay. It's a no. It's a no. Like, no, no, no. We're done. We're done. And then so Paul come back in and he said, well, how do you feel about that? Okay, because Nick's still just sitting there like a deer in headlights. And then Nick said, yes, yes. He said, that sucks, but we need to rip off the band-aid. We are not wrong, but maybe wrong for each other. He said, I'm not wrong for being here. Courtney ain't wrong for being here. We just wrong for being together. And that's right. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Nick, so much for finally saying it, because you couldn't handle Courtney if she took you out on a farm or somewhere by herself without those cameras, and she bring out those muscles, baby, and want to attack, baby, you could not handle it. Okay, I'm sorry, and so we need to get you to a safe place, a shelter, or somewhere, back to your house, back over there with your mom and them. Because, yeah, we need to go ahead and call this quit because there's no need for y'all to be together right now. And then Paul comes in and he said, "So, am I hearing that you would like to end your marriage tonight?" And then so the cameraman go back and chime back in on Nick and Courtney, and then they mutually says yes. Finally, they agreed to something together. They said it together, and then so the matchmakers, Paul gives a speech, and tells how, you're not failing. You're both a great people, and you try it, and there's nothing wrong with seeing the truth in the matter, and going on about your way. That it doesn't mean that you lost or anything like that. It just you tried everything. So all the couples was like kind of sad and seeing what was going on, and they were just tired of the madness. So it's just like it's kind of good that it's over with. And then so Miss Lisa told them to go ahead and get up, baby. Go ahead and say goodbye to your little friends, baby. Go ahead and hug your little friends and let them go. And then so Courtney get up, and then girl, the camera. I don't know if that's the first person she hugged or is that just who the camera caught, because the camera was being shady. And the camera goes over to Courtney, and she hugging on Adam. And then while she hugging with Adam, she schedules another pickleball rematch instantly while smiling with glee, baby. We never seen Courtney look so happy. She loves her some Adam. And Adam was like, "Okay, that's a challenge. We're gonna vibe. Yeah, we're really gonna have to set that up, you know." And then so Nick goes over there to Paul and hugs on Paul. And then what Nick says is just typical, what I would think he would say. He was like, "We need to stay in touch." And then Paul was like, "Yeah, we can definitely stay in touch. We can." All Nick is doing is over there is networking. He going over there to a person who probably produces the show too, and he was saying, "Yeah, me and Paul, make sure we stay connected. AKA, the next time you go on a dating show or you produce a dating show, call me, okay? I'm still available. I'm still here." So Nick, all that networking, I ain't mad at that, okay? Ain't nothing wrong with that, okay? So Nick and Courtney. So this isn't the way Nick starts off. They goes outside in the alley to talk about it real fast and real quick. And then so Nick says, "This isn't the way I wanted it to be or wanted it to go, but I'm glad that we did it with it, that I did it with you." And he begins to show emotions. He was fighting back tears. And then Courtney, "Oh, so now you're tearing up. Now you're sad now that it's over." Very, very odd, Nick. Very, very odd. And then they both she said that they both believe in love and want love. They just can't have it with each other. Now, after she said, "Oh, now you're tearing up," babe, those tears got sucked right back up into Nick's tear duct, and he got back looking serious because he know he got to be on guard with Courtney. Okay, because Courtney, again, they in the alley by themselves right now, maybe with one cameraman. That ain't enough to keep him safe. So he went ahead and just sucked them tears up, and he was like, "Okay, can I get a hug? At least that's the least you can do. Can I get a hug?" And then so she gave him a hug, a little side hug, and then they walked in opposite directions, and maybe never to be seen again until the reunion show. So we go back to the inside where Miss Lisa is, and then Miss Lisa said, "Listen, everybody, it's okay if it doesn't work out. Okay, it's okay. Now, if it can't be real, we invite you to opt out of it right now today. We don't want it if it's going to be fake. We don't got time for the fake stuff. Okay, this is not marriage at first fake site. Okay, or fake marriage at first sight. This is not it. We want something real. We want something that's genuine. I'm a real doctor, baby. I went and got my PhD. I ain't over here trying to be fake, a fraud, baby. I'm trying to be real." Okay, Miss Lisa didn't say all of that, but that's what Miss Lisa was putting down. If you understand, baby, I read between the lines, and Miss Lisa said she ain't got time. Okay, she a real doctor, real PhD, and y'all need to be real over here. Okay. And then so I agree with Miss Lisa. And then so we go over to the little couple, honey, Sean and Nikki. Okay. Now Nikki starts off, okay, because the same thing is asked. Like, do y'all feel like y'all building something solid? Do y'all feel like this is a solid relationship? That's the whole purpose of this session. And so Nick says, "Trust is still growing when it comes to me and Nick, and she wants to feel safe." That's what she said. And then Sean says, "Well, Nikki has an issue with trusting me, and of course being attractive." He kind of like swept that, like, "Oh, she claiming she's not attracted to me," but he felt like he full of himself, like, how can she not be attractive? That's kind of what he gave out, the air that he gave out. But Nikki is not attracted to you, Sean. I just want to be the first to tell you if nobody else has. And but he said, but he said that she got some type of issues when it comes to trusting. He said it ain't got nothing to do with him. He said, but I feel it's something that's going on with her that isn't clear, that isn't showing to me, and it's not showing her vulnerability, like meeting her family. He want to meet her family because he wants to know what's wrong with her. He want to get on the phone with Nikki Mama, and so he can say, Miss Nikki Mama, Miss Mother-in-law, what's wrong with your daughter? Why is she crazy? Why is she acting up? What is it? Because I know it ain't me. What's wrong with your child? That's what he want to do. And so Nikki said that she wasn't ready for him to meet her mom until Miss Lisa, baby. Miss Lisa had to come in and be like, wait a minute now. You don't want him to meet your mom. That's a major milestone. You know how you go to the doctor, you take your baby to the doctor, and the doctor said, your baby meeting all this milestone. Your baby is reaching, your baby is pulling up, your baby crawling, your baby is got good eye, you know, eye ear coordination and mouth hand coordination. So you want to hear all that stuff. So you can tell by Miss Nikki saying, wait a minute, that's a milestone, Nikki, and you're supposed to be meeting that, and you're not meeting it, okay? And Miss Nikki, she want to meet all her milestones. So when she said that, Miss Nikki said, well, uh, she said, I am ready for them to meet, but it just hasn't been scheduled. It's not on my planner. I didn't schedule it. I didn't set up a Zoom meeting with mom and see if it's okay, what day would work for her. I didn't schedule it and stuff like that. So that's what she kind of switched it up. Because she was saying she wasn't ready for him to meet the family. That's something that she don't feel safe with. But when she realized, baby, you're not meeting the milestones. You lacking. You slipping. You delayed, baby. You behind schedule. Then she tried to pick it back up, like, okay, well, it just hasn't been scheduled, but don't worry. I'm gonna get on it the next business day. I'm gonna get on it. I'm gonna schedule that meeting. Okay, good. So we got that covered. Then Paul comes in. He said, when the cameras are off, how romantic are you? Okay, and all the couples look, okay, because all the couples want to know at this point because they just don't believe that they are attracted or match made in heaven anywhere. They're not on cloud nine nowhere. So they go back over to Sean. Sean said, well, we do certain things. We be kissing on the terrace. We be holding hands. We be rubbing each other back and things like that. That's how we're getting down. And then Nikki said, well, they touch, but not romantically. It's a business deal. And then that's when Paul came in. He's like, oh, so it's more of a business venture, right? Yeah. He said, I want to see more romantic movements between you guys, and also introducing your community to show progress, because again, y'all delayed. Y'all not meeting y'all milestones. So I agree with Miss Lisa. You're a little delayed on that. And we need to see you guys meeting those milestones because those are basic things that you're supposed to do in a relationship. And I don't understand why you guys are not doing it. So Sean said, well, yeah, he wants to introduce her to his mother, then later take a bath together. Because he said that his mama want to talk to her. But it's like, Sean, there you go again. So as soon as she get off the phone with your mama, you're gonna have a bathtub ready. You're gonna be naked, ready to take a bath. That's what you want to do. So he started listing out stuff that he wanted to happen. He want to take a bath together. He wants to lay together and hug and cuddle in their lingerie. He wants to have Nikki have a bra and panties on while he and his white tighty whities and they're sitting on each other's lap. He was saying all type of stuff that he was listing out because remember, Nikki had asked him previously, what type of milestones do you think we should be meeting? What do you want to be happening here? And he couldn't name anything back then because he hadn't did his research. Well, today, baby, he had did his research and he said, yeah, he want us to take a bath together naked. He want us to cuddle in our lingerie. He want us to, baby, to cuddle and tickle each other while you wearing the panties and bras. He said he wanted all that type of stuff. And then here come, I don't know why, but here come Cameron, baby. He said Nikki is not into Sean because you know how they have their little one-on-one talking to the camera. And so here go Cameron talking about Nikki and Sean behind their back. He said Nikki is not into Sean and is lacking attractiveness. And then Michelle said, yeah, because it's hard to fake romance, and they're not doing a good job of it. They're not even trying to even make it seem like they're attracted to each other. The attraction is not there. And then Sean was like, well, yeah, we either need to get all the way in, baby. We need to be wham bam thanking you, ma'am, or we need to be going on separate ways. He said because he's missing out. Okay, he says women out there that love to lay with Sean in their underwear, and I'm like, Sean, okay, whatever. Leave Sean alone. If that's how Sean feel, let Sean feel it. So next we go over to Tori and Felipe. Now, Paul, he owned them when it comes to them. So Paul says, okay, what is impacting your relationship? And then so Tori starts off, he says, well, Felipe is very indecisive. And then Felipe said indecisive about, he said he's indecisive about whether he wants to be married or not. That's what he said about. He said he ain't indecisive about Tori. He said he know he liked Tori. He's attracted to Tori. He know that he wants to be with Tori. But he said his indecisiveness comes whether he wants to be married or not. It's like, what? There you go again, throwing stuff on this girl again without letting her know. So Paul says, well, you said you miss sleeping with different women, but you came to me because you were lonely. That's some contradiction there. Yes, it was. And I'm so glad Paul bust them out because think about it. If you had so many women, Felipe, you had so many options, you had so many sleeping buddies, why did you come to Paul and state that you was lonely? Which means you're not receiving fulfillment from these women, whoever you're sleeping with, these imaginary women. You're not receiving no type of fulfillment. You're still feeling lonely, even though you're laying beside an unknown woman. So you really want to be with somebody. You don't want to be alone anymore. And so if you have so many women and now you're talking about you don't want to be married, you don't feel like you can sleep with the same woman, there are some contradictions there. So either you ain't got these women, you just it's these imaginary women that you want to sleep with, or you are lying. You putting on for city. But either way it go, it's contradictions, and we need to get to the bottom of it. So we go back over there to Felipe, who looked like he been drinking tequila all day and all night. It's something about his skin that's telling me that he is dehydrated and he's doing something he ain't got no business over there. And he just looked disheveled all the time. While Tori over there looking put together. Now she used to look put together. Now that she's been with Felipe for a minute, you can tell that she is disconnected emotionally behind her eyes. Her eyes used to have a little glare to it. Now it seems like she's a little more drained for sure. And um, so we go back over to Tori. Tori said Felipe is emotionally manipulative or emotionally immature and being very manipulative about it. And Tori is tired and stressed about it. She said it. She's tired and stressed and it's starting to show. And then so Paul says Felipe is half assing it and is straddling the fence. And Paul tired of it. He tired of this half assing it that he's doing it. He's tired of him straddling the fence, talking about he want to sleep with other women, but yet he lonely, which means ain't no women on the other side of the fence. So stop lying, okay? What do you want? And then Felipe said, well, I can't convince you because I'm not trying to. And then Paul like, hold up. He's like, hold the hell up now. He said, don't play with me, Felipe. I ain't the one or the two or the three. Listen here. You came to me for my help, baby. You pulled up on me. You wanted me, okay? I got other people I could be helping, baby. I done had successful marriages, and I've been married for 20 years, baby. You ain't got to convince me nothing. The only person I'm convincing is my wife. Now, Paul didn't say all that, y'all. Y'all know Paul didn't say all that. But I just read in between the lines, okay? And so Felipe uh, took the wind. That took the wind out of Felipe's little sail because who Felipe think he is, okay? So Paul said, yeah, you need to get it right. You coming at the wrong person, honey. You need to prove to your wife that you are committed to her, and because you ain't got nothing to kind of prove to me, because baby, I ain't married to you, okay? And so he was like, don't even come over here and don't even play with me like that, all right? And so then Felipe just sat there quiet, looking like a puppy, a lost puppy at this point, okay? And then everybody started looking at him like, yeah, Felipe, you know, got Paul mad, got Paul blood pressure up. So we go back over to Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa said, okay. So she said, you and Felipe are similar. You have perfect women, but don't know what love is. Now at this point, when she's talking now, going from Felipe over to Mecca and Bella Jolie. And Miss Lisa love her some Mecca. She really want Mecca to work because she said as a mother she understands where he's coming from, and so he has a soft spot in Miss Lisa's heart. Now I don't know about in Paul's heart. Okay, Paul is gonna call it like it is, and I like Paul for that. So Miss Lisa said, okay, so you and Felipe are kind of similar, Mecca, and both of you guys have perfect women, but don't know what love is. And then Paul called BS. He said, well, you say you don't know what love is, but you do know that you need it and you want it. Period. Mic drop again, which is true. Now you sit here and tell us that, oh, I don't know what love is. I've never been in love. Okay, well, how do you know you want it? How do you know you need it? You know you want it. You know you need it. So stop acting like you're so oblivious to what it is. You know what it is. Okay, you just scared that when you do receive it and you do start to feel it, somebody gonna slam it in your face and say, "No, I don't love you. I don't want you." That's what you're afraid of. Speak it. Okay, say what it is and stop all this newborn baby type of talk. Okay, a newborn baby know what love is. You should know too. It's period. And Paul called it out, and I appreciate Paul for calling it. I like Paul. I like Miss Lisa too. They really are the best matchmakers when it comes to married at first sight. They doing it real good. They doing it big. I love it. So then then Paul asked Belle. She was like, Belle, have you chosen Mecca? And then so the camera goes over to Belle. She said, I have. She said, in the past, I have initiated everything. So there is some things about this relationship with Mecca that I don't want to do again. Like, I don't want to initiate everything and then it's left on me and then I'm left high and dry when I initiate things and then I get rejected. So she don't want to be rejected as well. And then Miss Lisa said, are you afraid of rejection so that you chose to stay quiet about your emotions? Come on, Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa called it out again because I feel like the same thing is happening when it comes to, and Belle is right to be afraid when it comes to Mecca because Mecca will come and talk about he want her to love him. This is the emotions I want to see you have when it comes to the birthday and all that stuff like that. And then as soon as Belle admits to, oh yeah, I do love you, and he's like, well, I don't know what love is, and I never been in love, so I'm not in love now. That's what it seemed like he wants to do, and Belle don't want that. She want to believe in the best when it comes to Mecca. So Miss Lisa was like, well, yeah, are you afraid of rejection? And then Paul said, you really adore this guy, I can tell, and you don't want him to push you away. So you suppress your feelings and you continue to do that, and you will resent him. You will resent him hard if you continue to do that, because every time you feel this so-called thing, you need to say it and see how he handle it. And Paul is so right. He is giving her the best advice because yes, it's gonna hurt if you say I love you, Mecca, and Mecca reject it. But you really need to see how Mecca responds to it. If he responds in a negative way, you really do need to walk away from him. Leave him with his mama issues. Okay, tell him. Well, let your mama come handle it. Okay, girl, I throw it right back at him. So I hit below the belt so hard. I'm like, oh, but since you're trying to reject my love, okay, how you feel when your mama rejected you, B? Okay, baby, I hit so hard, and then I'll walk away. I'll walk away and never see him again. I swear. So yeah, that's how I feel like I handle it. But that's why I'm not a matchmaker, baby. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, Paul said, Mecca, do you choose Belle? Do you choose Belle? And then Mecca takes a minute. He just such a scholar. He need to think about it. He need to dig deep to see if he can answer that. He takes a minute and then he says yes with a head nod. He said yes. So he said yes with his mouth and then he nodded his head like yeah. He said I choose Belle. And then so Miss Lisa was like, well, I wish the answer came out more definitive. Now remember, she loved her some Mecca, but she was like, no, I wish you was a little more definitive, honey. I wish you would have came up and stood on that. Okay, this is the time for you to have stood on your answer. And I wanted to see more of that. She said, I wish you would have said, Belle, I want you. Do you see the difference? Mecca, do you see the difference between what I just said and what you did? And then Mecca said yes. He said, but it's not a hell yes. He said, Miss Lisa, I know what you wanted. He said, but I'm it's not a hell yes. It's not like I'm standing on the Eiffel Tower and I'm yelling, I love Belle to the world. He said he's not doing that. He said it's not a hell yes. He said, so he's sorry, Miss Lisa. I can't comply to your request. It's not like that for me. And then so Miss Lisa was just looking at him like, Lord, what have I done? Yeah, Miss Lisa, you don't hook this girl up with somebody who got issues deeper than anything we can fix over here. And then so Paul says, okay, you know what? There's two V's. Okay, there's two V's that we need to pay attention to, and it's vision and voice. And then Miss Lisa said, actually, it's three V's, and she said vagina. I mean, she didn't say it, but she implied it. And then here go Mecca. Okay, being performative, like Michelle said, he always is. He said, I got that covered. Of course you do. Of course you do. Men that look like Mecca always have that part so called covered. Let them tell it. But it's like that's why y'all always never married. That's why y'all always somewhere being baby fathers. That's why y'all always somewhere messing up families, walking away, messing up families. Because all y'all worry about is that third V, which is vagina. You're not worried about the vision and the voice. Okay, when it comes to this relationship, Paul didn't even get to explain exactly what he was talking about because now everybody chiming in, and then here come Adam talk about there's another V too. There's vibes. And then everybody like it was like Adam, we can do without your nonsense, baby. We can do without your little 3 cents, 2 cents worth. Okay, we don't really need that. And then so Paul, he ain't got time for the BS, baby. Paul ain't all about that jokey junk. He said, this ain't no joke, this my job. So he said, well, good. Now we are back to the two. Okay, we are back to the two, which is vision and voice. Period. So speaking of vision and voice, then he was like, okay, let's go to our next couple, which is Adam and Marissa. Now, Adam and Marissa, okay, Miss Lisa starts straight out and she says, there is no seriousness or urgency with you, is it, Adam? Because they were like, Adam, are you comfortable? Because Adam over there propped up on the table, feet up on them folks' table, just like he don't care with his little Goodwill outfit on. He don't care. They're like, are you comfortable? He was like, yeah, I'm comfortable. He said, if I may come across, my posture may say that I'm not serious, but I am. I'm trying within the last 2 weeks. He said, I really have. And then Miss Lisa was like, well, we see that you are attractive, but it seems like you are cruising. Okay, you cruising for a bruising. You ain't really that serious into it. And then he was like, "Well, we are." Um, he said we had our first bad day, and we turned cruise control off. He said, "So we not cruising no more." Adam disagreed with Miss Lisa. He said, "We're not cruising no more." He was like, "Yeah, baby, she ain't jumped on the jet ski since then. And since I splashed her ponytail, she ain't into that no more. We've been staying at the house now, okay." And so Lisa says, okay, well, are you guys heading towards a solid marriage? And then Adam said, well, yes, Marissa is practicing pickleball to match me, and she working out. It's like, Adam, are you serious, you weirdo? That so you think that's all it is pickleball and skits and jet skis? That's all you think that girl got to be working out to match you? It's the relationship got to be deeper than that, Adam. And then so Miss Lisa said, "Are you ready to move this to the next level by integrating family and friends?" And then Adam said, "Yes." She could meet my sister at the cookout, at the kickback. Yeah, sister gonna be there. Yeah, she gonna drop off her potato salad with raisins. Yeah, yeah, she gonna be there. So yeah, she can meet her there. He just really breezed through that. And then Marissa was shocked. And then Paul noticed it. He like, wait a minute. He said, it looks like Marissa is shocked by the fact that, she's going to meet his sister. And then so he said, well, Adam said, well, we all had our friends over the other night. What friends, Adam? You didn't have none of your friends over. It was Marissa friends, but he called them all like as if they was his friends. And he was like, well, we had a good time. Everybody had a good time. And then so he said he didn't even know that the friends had any concerns because Marissa said, yeah, her friends were concerned. And then he looked shocked. He was like, wait a minute, I didn't know that your friends didn't like me or they had some type of concerns. And then she was like, yeah, my friends have a concern about the level of intensity that's causing me anxiety, that's stressing me out. Okay. Then then Mr. Paul, he called it out again. He was like, well, you guys are showing a lack of communication and seriousness in this relationship. And he said Adam is still being dismissive while Paul is trying to explain what was going on. Adam's still trying to act like, oh, no, no, we're not. It's like, no, Paul, listen. Paul said, listen, Adam. He said, you are. He said, because this is the first time she heard about your sister, her meeting your sister. This is the first time you heard about the friends didn't really take to that meeting with you, that they had concerns about it. This is the first time that you hearing that she's stressed out and you giving her anxiety. You guys are not communicating well at all. And you guys are not taking this relationship serious because all you talking about is her playing pickleball, and that's not all to this relationship, okay? And then so Paul, he was annoyed. He was tired of this because at this point, Adam had checked out and he wasn't even barely listening anymore. So So he was like, okay, let's move on to our next relationship because right now I can already tell Adam is not paying any attention. So we're gonna move over here to Cameron and Michelle. And then Paul says, what are the challenges since the last session? Okay, do you guys have any challenges? And then so Cameron said, I'm sorry, Melissa said, I mean, Michelle. Michelle said, well, we are questioning whether we are in a bubble. She explains how perfect they are while Cameron is looking concerned and indifferent. So she's still talking about they are so perfect. And she feel like, oh, we're living in this perfect bubble. And we just concerned, like, is this bubble going to pop eventually or what's going to happen? Because right now, everything is going so perfect. Well, it's like, Miss Michelle, all you got to do is look over to your left or to your right, baby, whichever side Cameron is on, and see that Cameron is looking concerned, baby. Cameron is looking like, yeah, what perfect bubble. He's like, what perfectness. Okay, he looking like he's stressed out over there. For what we don't quite understand. I think he got some deep issues that he need to handle himself. And then Cameron said, he said that he has fears like Felipe. What? Not like Felipe. He said not the cheating part. He just want to know, how do we keep it happy? How do we keep this relationship going for the next 30 years? He worried about the next 30 years instead of today. And Paul had to come in with his wise saying. He says, that's a healthy concern. He said that's not a big deal. And Miss Lisa agrees. Yeah, that's a healthy concern to have. He said, but you have to stay curious about your partner. You can't let that curiosity die, because as soon as you do that, that's when you lose in this relationship. And then Miss Lisa said, yeah, she said, because me and Paul both have been married for over 20 years, and we have to understand that we have to constantly be curious about our partners. It's going to be some days where the curiosity is at its highest, and sometimes it's just some small things that we're curious about. But either way, we have to be curious to keep it going for as long as we have. She pretty much saying we got a stable relationship and we still have to do what we're asking you guys to do right now. And so, and Paul said, yeah, you have to, you have, he asked, have you guys said the L word yet? Has that come out at all in your perfect bubble? And then Cameron said, well, she did. And then she started laughing. She's like, we both did. We are falling for each other, she said. And then Cameron said, well, he misses her when they're apart, so he drives to her. So Paul said pretty much those are action words. Love is an action. And he said by Cameron wanting to drive to Michelle when he could very well just stay where he is, and because he works in a different side of Washington, so they don't. So in order for him to see Michelle, he had to drive multiple hours to get to her. And he said sometimes he's so happy to see her that he can't wait till the next morning to get to her. So he'll go ahead and drive that night and go to her. And then Paul like, yeah, that is love. That's love without even saying it. And so they said they both have said that they are falling for each other and that they care a great deal for each other. And they both admitted that they both have kind of tossed the word out there, but they haven't stood firm on, yeah, this is love. Okay. So then we move over to our next couple, who is Devin and Caitlin. Now, Caitlin, they asked them the same question, and Caitlin said, well, I opened up about my past. So, and Devin says he's happy that she's more open and that she feels safe with him. And then he was over there rubbing on her legs, making her feel comfortable. You could just tell that they are becoming a beautiful couple. They are becoming comfortable with each other. Devin does care about her feeling safe with him, and so he is kind of somewhat let the matchmaker say he's not being his true self. But if being his true self making her feel unsafe, then that's not a good play. But again, if that's who he is, she needs to know so she can run for the hills. But Caitlyn admits that to being masculine in the past due to her past issues, but she's very feminine in this session with Devin, and that's good. And then Paul goes over to say, he said, this is wonderful. This is good to know. He said, but can we talk about the hard stuff, Devin? Can we talk about you dimming your light? Do you feel full in this, or do you feel like you have to semi dim yourself to be with Caitlyn? And then Devin says, he says, I'm halfway back. I'm not all the way back. I'm halfway. He said he felt shut down, but plans to step up and be a full man in the future. But he said he's going to be a man in the future. So he said, just stay tuned. It's coming. And then Miss Lisa said, well, good, because you look shut down. Baby, you look defeated. You look like a half a man, okay? You don't look like a man, okay, that we know you to be. And Paul said, can you see a future with Devin? He asked Caitlin that, and Caitlin said, yes, I can. Okay, so Kaden was kind of upset that they was over there acting like he was half a man, because she was like, "Shoot, I done took the man out of me. I don't need Devin bringing the man back in him." That's how she was acting, but she didn't say it though. Now at the end of the session, Devin and Kaylin dap each other up. They back to being bros again. They dap each other up because they felt that the session went very well when it comes to them. So, so the bro code is still on when it comes to them. That's what they say. Now, Mecca, this is what Mecca did. Mecca turns over there to Sean. Mecca, he said, Sean, turned to Nikki and gave her a list of demands. Now this is Mecca and Belle in the car. They having a discussion. The session is over. Everybody's going home, and then so Mel and Becca are in the car together. And then so Mecca started laughing like, "Man, did you hear Sean? Sean gave Nikki a list of demands that he want her to start doing." And then Belle was like, I don't. I think he gave her a list of things that he can, that he would like her to do. You know, intimately for him. I think it was just examples. He said, and then he was like, well, he said that he want to take a bath together, and she started laughing like, yeah, he did say that. And then so Mecca was like, well, that was his opportunity to clarify that. And then Belle said, well, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think that he was just giving her examples. He was just saying this is examples of what I want to see, which Mecca is right. I mean, Bell is right. Bell is right. He was only giving an example. He didn't. Sean did not say this is what you better do by this time and this point. This is what I want to see. He was just giving examples of what he wanted to see on the intimate level. Because previously, when she asked him, he could not give examples. He said this time he thought about it. He gave examples. He said, yeah, he wanted to take a bath together. He wanted to lay in your lingerie and hug and cuddle. He wanted to talk to your mama. He wanted to do all the type of stuff. And then um, Mecca said, "Well, we don't agree on many things. Like I don't put ketchup on my eggs, so I'm not that weird." So Mecca being petty at this point, okay? Because Belle Jolie was trying to, because one time Mecca said, "Well, what if I be weird and you don't like my weirdness?" She was like, "Well, I'm weird too, Mecca. I'm weird because I like ketchup on my eggs." So that was an intimate moment that she shared with Mecca, just for Mecca to get back in the car, because she said that she didn't agree with him when he said that Sean was giving ultimatums. He was not giving ultimatums. He was just giving examples. And then he gonna bring up her telling him about her weird moment and said, "Well, I can tell you one thing. I'm not weird like you because you put ketchup on your eggs, and I'm not weird like that." And I said, Belle. Then Belle said, "Oh, listen, bro, listen. Don't be disrespectful to me." She said, "I gotta hit you with the pause, baby. Don't be disrespectful with me at all. I ain't taking it." Okay, her voice got deep. She got serious with him. Listen here, because she realized you just took something that I gave to you to help you feel less weird, and then you took it and threw it back on me to make me feel less than. It's like, how dare you, you weirdo? How dare you, you mama neglected son? How dare you? Now that's just me. Mecca Bell did not say that to that man, okay? But I'm just saying, baby, that's something I would have said. Like, how dare you try to turn back the hands of times and throw back something on me that I shared with you? So, and then so she was like, "Yeah, we about to throw the pause," and she was kind of joking, but she was serious. And then so Mecca came in. He said, "This won't be the first time a woman hit me." I bet it wouldn't. I bet it wouldn't, hun. And then she was like, no. She said, no one's gonna lay hands on you in that way, okay? She's like, maybe in another way, but not in that way. So they kind of lightened up the mood, kind of joked and went on about their business, girl. Okay. The car went and dropped them off because it was about to get heated up in there. Okay. So next we go over to Sean and Nikki, and they was having a conversation about the session too. And then they started kissing while Sean was gripping that booty, baby. He was gripping on that boo hootie, that boo hootie, that boo hootie. And so they was all like getting very intimate. So I guess the night was good. The session was good, baby. It got them all on each other. Then next thing you know, Nikki White Nikki was like saying, see, there are good things about Sean. She said she is trying to put the attractiveness part to the side because she said that she had attractive partners and that they were not good for her. So next thing you know, baby, Sean walks to the back and then Miss Nikki follows him to the back, baby. And so the door closes and baby, things got I guess things went down. Things went down. You hear me? And then next thing you know, we see Sean heading out of the room, baby. Dangling just a slinging, baby. Robe open, Dangling just a slinging. So I guess the night went well. And so he went in the refrigerator. It seemed like he got either a bottle of water or a glass, a bottle of wine or something. And then he went back in the room with Nikki and closed the door, baby. So they finished it off, baby. So that's good for them. It's good that they finally having their intimate moments and they getting it on, I guess you will. Okay. So we go over there to Nikki and I'm sorry, Tori and Felipe. And Tori said that Felipe sounded the same in the session, even after she gave him support and freedom to be honest. So she said, I told you, don't get in front of these folks and embarrass me. I told you that. But he did it anyway. She said she'd been giving him the freedom to be honest when they on one, when they in the apartment, but he still didn't. And then Felipe said Tori and Paul painted him in a bad light. Now this is when they was talking outside of the session to the cameraman. And Felipe said, he said Tori and Paul. Now he didn't call their name. He just said he felt like some people painted him in a bad light. And even though he was over there looking drunk, claiming, like he was claiming like that he's saying that he likes Tori, but he feel like the commitment that he's made too early kind of scares him. He plans to show her that he is more committed to her regardless. And she said that she has doubts, but she willing to try. But he said that he wished that she would have defended him a little bit more in the session. And Tori just stood there like, well, you could. She stood there just in silence, and I took it from. She's like, you can wish all day. She's like, I'm not gonna defend you when you coming against me, when you're hurting me. I'm not how I look defending the man that's hurting me. Okay, are you sick? Are you crazy? Are you drunk off tequila? Now Tori didn't say that, but that's what I said. Now, so then we go over to Cameron and Michelle. And and Michelle is over there laying. Now Cameron is laying on the couch and by himself, and then Michelle walks up to him, and you can tell that he's going through something. He's sad, and you can see the subtitles. He was saying that he's feeling a certain type of way. He's feeling a sense of sadness, which you can tell looks like depression to me. And he told Michelle that he doesn't want to talk about it right now. And then she was like, "Okay, well, let's take a break." And then they went for a walk. As they was going for a walk, she saw a couple that was there getting married in the park, and so he was like, "I wonder how long they've been together. A couple years or something." She like they probably been together for longer. No, she asked how long they've been together, and then Cameron said they've probably been together longer and stuff like that. And he was like, they look happy together and stuff like that. I just hope that we can have that and stuff like that. And then so Cameron said that he labeled himself as a sad person, and he wants to know why Michelle even wants him. Because he feel like that his sadness, his depression, parts of him are starting to show through the cracks, and he feel like that eventually Michelle is going to see that type of stuff and reject him. Now Michelle did see that type of stuff, but instead of her letting him sit in it, she told him, "Let's go for a walk. Let's go get some fresh air. Let's go get some sunlight. Let's see if I can pull you up out of that." And I think that was a good move for Michelle to do that for him, because that is what he needed. But at the same time, how many times a day, a week, a month, a year is she gonna have to do that for him? Again, how many times is she gonna have to pour from her cup to pour into his cup? And I get it, that's what you're supposed to do in a relationship. But again, both of those cups need to be fulfilled. Both of those cups need to be fulfilled so that whatever they pour into it, they're not losing something. And I feel like that's eventually going to take a toll on her, that she'll have to do that for him all the time. And I feel like she's going to start resenting that. And then you're going to see that tiger side of her. But either way, and then we go back over to Sean and Nikki, and Sean and Nikki have prepared breakfast after the night that they had, baby. They had a good night together. And Nikki said she agreed to go ahead and schedule a Zoom, baby, or some type of meeting with her mother for Monday for Sean to speak with her mom. And then Sean was like, "Well, yeah, don't get jealous when I talk to mom and mom falls in love with me and say that she'll pretty much rather have me as a son than Nikki as a daughter." And then Nikki was like, "Okay, whatever. Like, you're delusional still." But she went ahead and chuckled, gave a little fake little chuckle with him. And he was saying that he's trying to win her mother over. In his mind, he thinks that he got it away with mothers. Well, you don't got away with mothers if you think you about to get on the phone with that lady mama and talk about what's wrong with her daughter. What's wrong? Tell me what's wrong with your daughter so I can figure her out. I don't think Nikki got that type of mama that's gonna side with you like that. But we'll see how that meeting goes. And then we goes over to our last couple, to go ahead and talk, baby. Oh, Adam and Marissa, baby. So they go on to a small boat date, okay? So they go get on a boat, which is something that Adam loves. He loves the water, baby. He loves the marina. It wasn't no fancy boat. Again, is Rich in the room with us? Is Adam really rich, or is he just putting on for the city? But it's a little boat that has a swimming pool, a little tiny pool, kiddie pool, if you will, in the inside of it. So Marissa had her wine. I guess she was drinking wine, and she had her cheese and cracker uh, chulery board, and then so coolery board or chulery board or coolery board or however you want to say it. And so she had what she needed, and then so he jumping in the pool acting like a little kid with ADHD who haven't took his medicine. And so he gets up on the boat and he says, "Oh, I challenge you to push up contest." So he get up on the boat and start doing push ups. And he said, "Come on, do it with me." And then so she gets up there and does it with him. And instead of him doing the push ups and having a contest, he over there critiquing her push ups. Go down, go all the way down, put your chest to the boat. It's like, Adam, do you want a man? Do you want a husband instead of a wife? Okay, the girl was doing a pretty good push up. Her form was pretty good, but he's saying she wasn't going down low enough and stuff like that. So he's still critiquing the girl. And then when asked about his sister, she was like, "Oh, I didn't," and I was surprised to know that we're gonna be meeting your sister. Soon as she said that, Adam jumped off the boat into the ocean. Okay, head backwards. He jumps into that as soon so that he couldn't answer the girl. And then she started laughing it off instead of saying, "Stupid fool, I asked you," or wait till he come back. Now I asked you about your sister. When is she going? When we meet her? When's she coming? Okay, so he jumps back in the boat, jumps into the pool of the boat, and then the weirdest thing to me, when he jumped out of the ocean back into the pool, his hair looked as dry as ever. It didn't even seem like he even got it wet. So he needs to deep condition that hair, do something, do a VO5 oil treatment or something on that hair because it's just looking too dry for him to come out the ocean. So, for him to jump into that water like that to avoid the question, which means, did you really even set up a meetup with your sister? And he didn't really call it a meetup. He just said that the sister gonna be at the kickback. She's gonna stop by. Yeah, she's gonna stop by. And he didn't really confirm. Yeah, she's coming to meet Marissa. These people know that he got married, even though they didn't come to the wedding, but they don't care. They not None of his family was there to support, and they still not there to support now. And he knows it. So he's avoiding the whole family conversation. And then when he jumped back in the water, instead of Marissa continuing the conversation to ask, "Oh, before you jumped in the water, I was asking about your sister. Now what?" And then, but she didn't. She just went ahead and went with it and started doing push ups with him and stuff like that. And it just very clear to me that he got ADHD and he need his medication. And I don't think his mom and them took the time to even get him diagnosed or get him any type of medication. So Marissa probably gonna have to take him over there to his pediatrician, baby, and get him some pills or something so that he can start getting deep with it, okay, and not being all over the place. So that's gonna be the episode for episode 14. Um Again, the couples tried to get deep. The matchmakers definitely tried to get them deep. We're gonna see on the next episode um how they're going to respond in the so-called group dinner. It's gonna be the last group dinner, and then after that, girl, episode 16 gonna be so good because they're gonna all go and be living with each other on a group vacation. They all gonna go, and so they're gonna see firsthand how everybody is getting along or compatible and how things really work. And girl, that's gonna be so good and juicy. So y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. We're gonna go ahead and jump into 15 on the next episode, and I'll see you there.